Welcome to our first episode of Senior Spills, and today we're going to be talking about the expectations versus reality of the whole college admissions process. So I'm here with...
Hi, my name is Hasan, and I am a 12th grade student at Singapore American School.
Okay, Hasan, so I know you had a very long admissions process because you were one of the people that went all the way to the RD round with many others with us. So I was wondering, first, what were you expecting going into senior year and the college application process?
I'll be honest, when I was going into the application process, I didn't have too many expectations. I think unlike other people, I didn't ever have sort of a dream school or one end-all be-all that I was looking for. I expected it to challenge me, and I expected it to sort of, I guess, be unexpected. I guess that's a bit of a cop-out, but yeah, I didn't have too many expectations coming into it. I knew that it would be sort of a reflection process, and that it definitely was, having to do so much writing about myself. And so yeah, I came in with that expectation, and I'm glad that I did have that mindset, because I think it was a good one to have, and to be sort of not tying myself to and expecting a certain outcome. Yeah.
And then would you say the actual process of writing applications during first semester was more than you expected, less, or and how would you recommend people pick their classes knowing how much there would be with applications?
I personally was challenged more than I thought I would be in terms of balancing stuff. I actually ended up doing all my RD applications during winter break because I didn't have time during the semester. That being said, I didn't really adjust my course schedule to consider that, because at the end of the day, there are classes that I wanted to do and didn't want to do, and classes that I needed to do to graduate. And so I didn't tailor my classes to sort of my applications. I don't think you necessarily need to, because I think at the end of the day, as long as you have classes, you will have things to do, and the workload isn't too different, especially in your senior year once you've gotten adjusted to sort of how classes work, and the classes, I guess, tend to be easier. I would say do the classes that you're interested in, because it is your last year, and as a senior you should be well equipped to handle them, and just be aware that you will have a lot to do, and you can't really avoid that with the college application process unless you don't have to do RDs. Yes.
And then I think something people started wondering about towards going into this is how did you order which colleges you would write essays for first, or was it you're working on all of them at the same time? How did you organize that?
So when I began writing my regular decision applications in late November, I started a little bit before winter break. I had one school that had 8 essays, and so I decided to start there because it kind of covered, a lot of the topics are very similar, and so I could get sort of these 8 essays done and perfect them, and then sort of replicate them and adjust them for the other schools and the other prompts. So I actually started with my application to Stanford, not because I have any sort of bias towards it. It was never even a top choice of mine, just because they had, I think, 8 essays that really covered a wide variety of things, and so I could use those essays for other schools as well.
Yeah. And then how did you pick your college list, and when did you start thinking about this?
Yeah, so I started coming up with my college list towards the end of junior year, around this time. And my counselor gave me good advice, which was at first to just put any school you've heard of, any school that you know the name of that you're interested in. And so I ended up having a list of 35 schools at that point, and then we started to cut down specifically on what I was looking for. I will say a lot of it is pretty fluffy. It is sort of a vibe check at the end of the day, because while I did sort of prioritize smaller schools and schools that were in urban centers, because that's not what I wanted, I did have a few exceptions to that rule on my list. And so you kind of just have to figure out sort of the vibe of the school and what fits you. You can look at stuff online, etc. But I just started very broad, and also because I never had sort of a path set for myself. I never had a dream school or anything. It wasn't oh, I know I'm going to apply to this set of schools for sure. I really just explored that process, schools that I knew, and then did a bit more research into the experiences of people there. Yeah. That being said, though, I wish I had done a little bit more research in hindsight.
Yeah, I think this goes for a lot of us, even a lot of my friends. It's we all pick schools because we knew they were just generally known as good schools, and then only later you're oh, this maybe doesn't fit me, or it's not renowned for my major stuff. So I think more research is important beforehand. Did you ever find your list changing in the middle of the semester or something?
Yeah, not even in the middle of the semester. I actually took a school off my list 3 days before the deadline. And that school was Columbia, because I was originally going to apply because my parents really liked it and it is a good school, and my counselor recommended it. And looking into it, it is a great school at the end of the day, but it's just not what I want from college. It's a very urban environment, and it's in New York City, and I had already lived there when I was younger, and I wanted something new. And so, in the end, I ended up cutting it from my list very late in the process. I just deleted it from my Common App. And my sort of justification and rationale for doing so was that even if I were to get in regular decision to Columbia, I don't know if I wouldn't like having the choice to be able to go there, because I think sort of the prestige of the school and the fact that it is a good school might sort of compel me to go there over what I know I want from the college experience. And so I didn't even want to give myself that choice. So that's one school that I cut really, really late. Another school I cut was MIT, because sorry, I don't know if I should be listing specific schools, but
no, that's no
I ended up cutting that from my list because although they do have a strong social studies program, which is what I wanted to do, just a STEM focus was something that I knew I would struggle with and not something that I want. So I think towards the end of the college process, as you start sort of getting those essays done and completing the assignments, you start to realize, yes, the school is prestigious, yes, the school is good, yes, I've been told that I should apply there, but you need to look deep within yourself and say, like, okay, beyond the prestige, beyond the fact that it's a good school, is this a place that you're going to enjoy for the next 4 years? Because it could be the best school in the world, but if you don't fit well with the cohort that goes there, it's not going to be a good experience. And so I think that was a question I asked myself throughout the process, and that's how I sort of cut down on my list.
And then, that being said, like, what do you think is a common perception, like, you had or, like, our grade had before college, or you think, like, younger students have right now, but you want to, like, warn them of, like, maybe isn't true or something like that?
I think the college process is almost always advertised as merit-based, which it is to an extent, but you also have to recognize that the college process isn't always serving you. It also serves the college's institutional priorities, right? You could be a perfect student, but a certain school might just not want you because they don't have space for you, or they don't want a kid from Singapore who does this and is doing exactly what you're doing, right? Maybe they want a STEM kid here because they're lacking that in their cohort for this year, right? So you also have to recognize that it's not always that, oh, I have the best grades, I'm going to the best school. Oh, you have the best activities, you're going to the best school. At the end of the day, it's not a process that for you, it's a process for them, right? They're building their class, they're building their legacy, the alumni that are going to graduate from there. And so you just recognize that you can put in all the effort in the world, and sometimes you might just not get lucky, and that's okay. And another thing I wish that I'd known is that being said, that there is sort of a randomness to the process. You also have to recognize that these admissions officers are really good at their job, in the sense that they might read an application from the perfect kid on paper, but if they see that sort of you don't fit the vibe of the school, they're not going to accept you. And that's not sort of a judgment on you or your abilities. That's just the fact that they know you're not going to enjoy yourself there. And so you can't take decisions personally, because, again, it's because some students get admitted sometimes because the school just needs those types of students, or they know that you're not a good fit. And you might not be able to tell that now, but once you end up at a school where the admission officers do see you as a good fit, then it might end up working out. So, yeah, I would keep those two in mind throughout the process, and don't make it an emotional one. Make it a very pragmatic decision, but also a very personal one. Sorry, not an emotional one, but a personal one.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Hasan, and we'll see you on the second episode of Senior Spills, which will be all about the ED process.
All right.
Thank you.